for those of you who remember last week, with Anita Gosal of Liberate Me. And unfortunately, we just seem to have every tech issue under the sun last Thursday morning. And typically, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I went on to our platform to send the broadcast out to you like we're doing right now. And we use a platform called Be Live, which is, when it works, amazing, works brilliantly. And I went on to go live, and I always go on 15 minutes before, and our guests join us 15 minutes before. We have a quick chat, and then we go live. And it just wasn't working, and I couldn't see me, and I couldn't see Anita, and she couldn't join, and I started freaking out. And then I absolutely convinced myself, and this is going to be a good topic for today, actually. I convinced myself that was my fault. It was me. So out came the laptop, out came the iPad. It was well, it's obviously me. I'm doing something wrong. And I was like freaking out. And of course, it wasn't me at all. The bloody platform went down. But instantly in my own head, I went to, this is all my fault. What am I doing wrong? Why can I not do this? Anyway, what we did was we went onto Zoom. We put out a Zoom link, and we had a really lovely session. Actually, it was really, really nice. We had a lovely time. But what we really wanted to do, because what Anita does and what she brings to the community, and certainly to her own community, she has a huge community herself, is invaluable. And I really, really didn't want you to miss it. So it has so kindly come back and faced the tech issues again with me today. And my stress head again today. Thank you so much for being here, Anita. And it's probably better if I let you introduce yourself and what you do, because it's really huge, and you have such big groups and such big programs. And I'm just going to hand over to you to tell everybody who you are and what you do. Also, if you're watching us live, I can see a couple of you. Hi, Janet. Hi, Lorraine. Are on with us right now. If you could just send us a thumbs up or something, just to let us know that you can hear us okay, that would be awesome. Okay, I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Anita of Liberate Me to tell us who you are and what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, where should I start? Well, it's good to be live here, so hello everybody. I am Anita of Liberate Me. So what do I do? I help really women to rise after bad experiences or hard experiences or traumatic experiences, which I have had many, maybe more than the usual person. I don't know. I've been divorced twice. I've lost my dad to suicide. So a lot of things that have happened that brought me to a place where I really believe that there was nothing worse than a wasted life. So that really called me into what my gift is, and to really, rise after these hard experiences and see they're happening for you, not to you, and into a new chapter and really living like a life of meaning. For me, that was really important. I mean, it's a journey, it's a continuous journey, but I've come a long way from that. So that's what I really help to do, is for women that feel trapped or stuck in a certain feeling, way of being, to know that there's life after that. You don't have to stay stuck there. And sadly, some women do, and I mean, we're talking decades of wasting time and attracting the same experiences again, like the same relationship, the same job, the same self-sabotaging behavior. And there's actually nothing wrong with them. Like even what you said at the beginning there about I blamed myself, that, the tech wasn't working. And that's really bad. That's so terrible. And this kind of, self-talk that we have and where it actually comes from, and getting curious about that. That rather than this kind of trust and surrender that something, whatever it's meant to be will be. And actually, like you said, we had a great session. We had Caroline on there. That was amazing. And did some really cool coaching. So it all turned out really well in the end.
It did. It was a really, really good call. It was fantastic.
So, but we don't have this, and we think there's something wrong with us if we don't know the next 10 steps, and we haven't got the plan, we haven't got the how, we haven't got the what. We spend a lot of time on the how and what, and what who we should be living with, what we should be doing, how we should be doing it, but not enough time on the who, like who am I, right?
Yeah.
Who really am I? And really rising into, and I think this is such an opportune time where we're really being called to get to really shine and be more authentic, vulnerable, and create that relationship with ourselves and each other. Because with everything that's happened that we couldn't control in the world right now, that's all that really matters, right? We've been chasing success and all kinds of things, jobs and holidays and the best schools for your children, and now it just doesn't matter. We're all sitting at home, and all that really matters is human connection to yourself. And I've spent a lifetime working on myself, which sounds really selfish, but actually, when you work on yourself, if you can't have a relationship with yourself, you've got nothing to bring the other. And you can't understand others because you don't understand yourself. So it feels like everything's happening to you, or whatever it may be. And it's actually there's ways of understanding that and healing that and releasing that. So I've gone on, but essentially that's what I do for women. I think that was your question.
It was, but I think it's fascinating. And what I've loved about, Anita is always been, and I've known Anita for quite a long time now, but Anita has always been very visible to me. So she's in her communities all the time, and she's talking all the time. She's amazing at going live, and you are very, very visible. And what I've loved about watching you lately is how you've, rather than we talked to Alana about a lot of women shrinking away from their business at this time because there's a lot of shaming going on about, you shouldn't be working through this, you shouldn't be charging for these programs, you're picking on vulnerable people and all the rest of it. And actually what I saw with you was you just stepped up. You're already on a level, but you were like, you stepped up even further, and you've gone live in our community of a coronavirus group to share your stuff about anxiety and fear, and this message of creating your life from the inside out, which is what we're talking about today. That was for you. I've seen you use this current situation as a sheer opportunity to work on ourselves, when everybody else in the beginning, I think it's starting to settle a little bit now, but in the beginning there was just this panic of, we're stuck in the house and we can't go anywhere and this is awful. And it's very much, the way that you're choosing to think. Mm-hmm. But you were on that straight away. You were like, no, we've got this. This is an opportunity. This is not bad. This is going to be great. We can do something with this. We can do the inner work on this. And I just, as if I didn't love you enough already, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness, come on live on my platform. Come talk to me about this. Wow. But yeah, it's one of the things, and I think creating your best life from the inside out is relevant always, but it's never more relevant. And as in because creating your best life from the inside out is about choosing the way you think, isn't it? It's making a conscious choice and noticing the chatter. And I did a live yesterday, and I literally spent an hour in the group talking to myself yesterday. I so wanted to just connect with everybody. So I sat in the garden and just chatted away to myself. But again, it was one of the things, that I talked about on there. And it's consciously making the choices how you think and because how you think is going to affect how you act and how you react.
Yep.
And never more prevalent than now.
Yeah. No, it's really tender right now, is the word, I think. And yeah, it's exactly that. It's about, like I say, rising, and it's about elevating beyond the crisis. Because crisis means turning point. That's what it actually means. And we have this idea that if something bad is happening in life, or if we're having a difficult experience, or something, isn't going our way, like, getting divorced, or having troubles in your relationship, or being in a toxic environment, or having trouble with your children, whatever it may be, just like you said at the beginning, we sort of take it as a personal reflection. Maybe something wrong with me, and I blame myself, and I just, but it's deeper than that, and it's also, it's part of life. That life is like a duality, right? We lose and win at the same time, and we're meant to. We're meant to, because that's where the growth comes from. Yeah. So I think that's the difficult piece, is that, we've not realized that, and we've thought, if we're having a bad experience in life, or something is not working out for us, or something is hard, we push through it. We pretend, we do something that I call a spiritual bypass. Even if we lose someone, or we come out of a marriage, or whatever it may be, or have a bad breakup that we've been totally dragged down by, we're just like, okay, I'll just get on with it. Because the world kind of demands that as well, because we're not very good with vulnerability or emotions, right? If you start crying in front of one of your friends or whatever it may be, generally the reaction is to hug someone. And I always say, what you're doing there is you're not holding the space, you're actually stopping them. You're actually saying, stop, I can't take it. It's too much. So we kind of just push by things and carry on, but they live in us. And they kind of accumulate and pile up right from the root, what I call the root, the core, the root wound. And then they pile up. And it just needs clearing up. It's just because we've just bypassed it and just sort of carried on. And it's the same as this global crisis that we're having. And I think personally, what it is here to bring is to bring us back to oneness, as I call it, rather than separation. Because I put a question out there the other day, and I'd invite everybody here to answer it as well, which was, maybe I put it in the group. What is the best thing and the worst thing about this lockdown?
You did, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I put this in other places as well. I was just absolutely astounded by the answers I was getting, because they were not bad answers. In the majority, a lot of them were like, I'm home with my husband, he's not traveling for the first time in years, or I'm not traveling, I'm loving it, our relationship is getting better, bonds are forming with my team that I never thought would happen, because we don't spend time together, and all of these things. And even people that are living alone are saying to me, wow, this has really given me that opportunity to build a relationship with myself. I didn't think I could cook. I didn't think I could do these things. And I'm discovering about myself, which is really important, to have that relationship with yourself as well. And I had clients that have had severe anxiety and thought, they'll get more anxiety through the situation. I actually feel better, because it's just the calmness. Like, we've all been chasing success, capitalism, blah, 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 running everywhere, trying to be something and not, proving, pretending, pleasing, putting an act on, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. So it's kind of like what you said, getting up.
Exactly.
And it's really, rather than, my picked up, and even in the face of people thinking, should we or shouldn't we? Yes, we should be, right? Because it's, oh my God, this is the moment where we can create that oneness, rather than going back to that separation again, where it's, you versus me, faking it. I just really believe it's a time, my belief, or the bigger meaning here, is that faking it is just dead. It's just dead. It doesn't work anymore. And it's time to get really real with ourselves, build real relationships with ourselves, value ourselves, love ourselves, see who we are, and really rise to create that new beginning when we go back into the world, which we will. And so we don't go back in a few weeks' time, or whenever it may be, just recreating the same again, which would be really sad to me. But, it's up to each individual. It's personal responsibility. No one can do it for you.
Yeah.
It has to be, number one has to be awareness of, what's going on for you and how you were feeling before this crisis and during it. And I'm really feeling that what's happening is it's just exaggerated that fear. It's not that you didn't have fears before and anxieties before about certain things. So it's really a moment to stop, pause, and go, hold on. What isn't serving me? What isn't serving me right now in the crisis? What isn't working for me? But what wasn't working for me before? What wasn't serving me? And have the awareness over that and the acceptance over that. and then, take the action, kind of 3 A's, if you like, the awareness, right? And then accepting it. Because that's the first bit. We don't accept it because we think there's something wrong with us, and there's nothing wrong with us. Everybody has this. No one's talking about it. That's the only problem. It's the best kept secret, right? Because everyone's putting a strong front on, trying to fit in with each other, trying to do the same as everybody else, being just as fearful in this crisis. Otherwise, you might look a bit odd, or as if you don't care, or be like someone like me, like you were saying, that's out there, and people may be thinking, oh my God, she's unbelievable, or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's none of my business what you think of me. What I think of me is the most important thing. You're welcome to reject me. That's okay. I don't want to reject me. That's when you get into dangerous situations in life. Yeah.
So number one is inside and outside of what's going on right now. So number one is going to be awareness.
Yes.
Awareness of, checking in with, and I think now's a really good time for that, because before, when you're working all the time, or you're at the house all day, and you're with kids all day, or there's stuff happening, or you're in your business, and we all know it's like running your own business. There's so much to do. I said this just to Alana. I was talking to Alana this morning, and we said, sometimes, when I was working full time and I was setting up the Female CEO and running this, I was working all day and working at night. And I thought, well, when I stop working in my day job and I'm just working on the Female CEO, I'll have all of this time. And people kept saying to me, and it was women in the group really who had their own businesses who were like, it's not like that. That's not going to happen, because you will within a couple of weeks, you'll be thinking to yourself, how did I do all of that and all of this? Because this has taken up all of my time. And that's what it's like for us as women in business, particularly because we take everything on. So it's very easy to miss what the thoughts are.
Yeah.
It's easy to not be self-aware, because you're always thinking of the next thing and the next thing and the next person, even the kids and the business and the post and stuff and whatever it is. You're always thinking of something else. So, and sometimes I think that's a tool for avoidance.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to think about it, because exactly what you said before, well, there's something wrong with me if I think that. There's an issue here with me, and there isn't. And the key to that, I've found for me personally, has been to be able to look at, I actually check in on myself once an hour. So on the hour, and I did this for a long time, I used to have a little alarm that pinged on my phone every hour, and I would just stop and think, what am I thinking right now? Exactly what am I thinking about? And so many times it was a negative thought about myself. I said, wow. Then that was quite, and at first it was, well, there's something wrong with me. I'm obviously a mental case, because nobody thinks that about themselves. And I would know if I was thinking like that about myself. And actually, that looking at it from a space of non-judgment takes time to be able to think, this is just a thought. This isn't a reality. This is just a passing thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned to recognize that by the way I felt. So on the hour, if I couldn't catch the thought, I could always catch the feeling. And if it was if I felt negative, okay, well, what am I thinking to create this feeling? If I felt positive, great, we're all good, carry on.
Yep.
But if it was a anxious or a negative feeling, I then went digging to find out what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
And then you have to be able to get a hold of it and say to myself, right, okay, without judgment, if this was happening to somebody else, if it was you telling me right now, well, I'm thinking this, would I judge you as harshly as I would judge myself? Well, no, of course I wouldn't. So what would I say to you if I wasn't saying it to me? And then I would say that to myself.
Yeah, amazing.
But the awareness, I think, is something that we miss, and I think we deliberately miss it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we're missing it because it's not so deliberate. It feels like self-sabotage, but it's so quick, it's so automatic, because we have those root wounds that I talk about that are so deeply entrenched in the subconscious. And then we have our fear, and our ego that runs the fear. And so it looks to protect us because it doesn't want us to go through the same experiences again. So it makes a mismatch to what we're going through, and it decides it's the same thing. And so it will start to create resistance against things, resistance against your own success, particularly if you're in business. It will start to, you get in the way of yourself and slow yourself down with all these thoughts and, oh, maybe that's not right. Maybe I need to start again. It's because it's afraid of you becoming successful. So you're going to be a version of you that you've never been before, that may never have existed in your family history, your cultural history. That could involve some kind of judgment from people, some kind of rejection. So it's so quick when it does it, and it just pulls in the resistance because it's not available in the filing system, if you like. And so it's like, well, it's better the devil we know. It's better the devil we know, and that's all good. Even if this is a bit shit and this is really hard work and this is a really stressful way to live, we know it. We've got a flipping degree in this. We are graduates in this. We know how to do it. So it's certainty. Because the ego and the root wounds, like certainty, it's all based on false beliefs that we have about ourselves and our abilities that come from the root wound and our experiences. So what makes it easier, where it starts to clear out, where you have a new kind of autopilot, is when you are able to really heal right from the core. And that's what I do. That's kind of my specialty, really, is to pull it out from the core. So it doesn't feel like work constantly, you're constantly having to work on it, and release that out of your system in a big way. Because the only difference really between, humans and animals, animals have got the same thing. They've got the same ego response and all of that. We think we're kind of different, but we do have that same response. But we've got a soul and a heart. And they also have information for us, and some people might call that intuition. And it's really understanding those pieces of yourself, because that's where all the calmness comes from. That's where all the knowing comes from. That's where the trust in yourself and the trust in your decisions comes from. So a lot of us are completely out of touch with that. We're just not using that part of ourselves. So we're kind of going the wrong way up. We're starting with our heads, like you say, with the bad thought, and you're checking in every hour, which is amazing. Really cool thing to do. And then that is immediately it's hitting your heart, which is like your enjoyment and pleasure center for your relationships and for your body and for your beauty. These things we need to be looking after these things. They're actually they're not luxurious. So it hits the heart, and the heart's like, ooh, that feels like shit. Now I feel like shit. Then it hits the soul, and the soul's just like, that's not very nice at all. That's not my truth, and I feel battered down. Soul is very quiet. The head's very loud, and the ego is very loud. The wounds are very loud, and they kind of take over unless you get that awareness and say, okay, there's more than one part to me operating here. Who's going to be running the show, and how do I turn it so I go from my soul to my heart to my head? Because your head is really just here to get shit done. It's just a computer. It's not here to make your decisions for you, make opinions about who you are, what you're doing, or what your abilities are. But that's what's happening at the moment, and it's the strongest piece of equipment. It's the loudest, but we're just not using it to our advantage because we don't know how. So that's the problem. So there's nothing wrong with anyone. It's just getting that awareness, then understanding how that is done. Yeah.
It's really interesting, isn't it? And I think, you're right. It's very interesting what you said about your head just being a computer, that this is just the bit that gets the stuff done. It's the rest of it that we need to check in with more often. And I guess when we do check in with it, that's when, because when the thoughts change, you can work from, the bottom up. When you can change the feeling and you change the thought, everything kind of turns around, doesn't it? Because and we talked about this on our call last week about your thoughts are creating your feelings, but your feelings are creating your reactions and your actions, and then it just goes. It's a full circle. So negative thoughts will cause you to have negative actions in your life, and then that will just go back to a negative thought. Well, that just proved the fact that was shit.
Yeah, you will always find. Your ego will always find what you're looking for. It'll just always find it. You'll have that, like I was saying, that stimulus and that crisis or that difficult situation, or just your partner, whatever it is, and you're like, I'm triggered. And if you're triggered, it's something that's going on with you. There's definitely some sort of wound, some sort of ego, or some sort of limiting belief that is going on. And really the universe is very kind in a way, but it shows up a lot in your intimate relationships or your close relationships is what you'll find. And the reason that is because those relationships are there for growth, to grow you. So the universe is bringing you the same situation again and again and again, the same triggers, because it's like, oh, there you go, you didn't heal this yet, here it is again. And this is where we get that perpetuating pattern where we just like, what's wrong with me? I know I should react differently, and I shouldn't get angry, or I shouldn't get scared, or I know what I want to do, but I still do I just react. And there's another level up here where we can rise and elevate, and where we can respond. And that's the ability to have the awareness to step back and just hold on. Okay, let me observe. This is a stimulus. This is a crisis. What's triggering me? Not easy. I'm not saying that. Okay, it sounds easy, and I don't want people to think, oh yeah, that sounds great. But and then observe what would be your knee-jerk reaction or your autopilot reaction. That reaction is something that's coming from fear, false evidence of being real, and something that needs to be healed in you. And then when you elevate to this other space and you can rise through that, you get into a very transformational space. You can transform things for yourself and also others. So I'm trying to think of like a story. Like for me, like getting divorced, for example, that was a big moment in my life. That's over 10 years ago now. I was writing about it today, actually. And that was, a time to rise, but it was a really scary moment for me after, to grow a new chapter, to find out who I really was, because I'd completely lost myself, because I'd been, just giving permission away to others and my power away to others, mainly my family, my mum and things like that. And I noticed, even though I was getting divorced, I'd made that decision, I was still triggered and it was still affecting me as I was going forward in life. And I, to truly rise through that and have life after divorce, I had to do this work. I had to come back to myself and understand what the hell was going on. Who was I after this experience, and how can I find myself and actually create a life that I love, and not attract the same things again and again and again, which I had by that point. I had many relationships that were pretty similar. Same thing again and again and again. So, I feel when we are being called to rise, we do know it. And the best way to really identify is, and what I'm really passionate about, is leading women into that new chapter, into that new meaning in their life, and who they are, because the how and the what will come off the back of that. But you have to recognize that you're there in the first place, because a lot of women are on some level of denial, which I've talked about as well, and or bitter. If you're feeling any kind of bitterness, or feeling like things are happening to you, or you're even martyrdom, so you're kind of like, I've got no choice, I've got to do everything, I don't have any support, anything like that, these are telltale signs that there's a part of you that wants to rise, and it's just about bringing awareness to that and knowing that it can change, otherwise it eats away at you. And what happens is that you get stuck, say after divorce. I've known women that have stayed stuck, stayed bitter, or just said, well, it's not going to work for me, and have lost trust in themselves, really, and trust in others, and have decades where they don't know who they are fully, but they're fighting it so much and being defensive or in denial about it, that, the ex or whoever it is moves on, lives their life. It doesn't affect them. It eats away at themselves. So it's like you're just punishing yourself. And it's okay. It's just noticing and being compassionate with yourself that, okay, I can see that I'm doing that, and I'm in that space, and I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I want to be free. I want to know who I am and, live my best life, not be stuck in the past and worried about that, and then just having it relive and relive and relive, because you constantly find evidence for it, like you said. So, yeah, I think that's really important, is the recognition, the awareness is just the biggest thing. And then the acceptance of that, which is tough. And then the willingness, then your next step, willingness to now actually go there. Because like you said, we'll do anything to avoid it. And this is why
it's pain, isn't it? We are wired to avoid pain.
Yeah.
We seek pleasure and we avoid pain. And that's what we're conditioned, I use the word, conditioned to do. And that's actually, Glennon Doyle has that fabulous quote of the only way out of pain is through it.
Absolutely. And it's a shorter journey.
It is.
We avoid it for so many years, and the endurance we have as humans and as women just to settle and make do and just hold that level of uncomfort for years on end is amazing. And I'm like, you're not really saving yourself any pain, really. You're just prolonging it over a longer period of time, and you will know, because other telltale signs, anxiety, exhaustion, health problems, fertility, all of this, because it's the chemicals it's releasing in your body, it's attacking yourself, and that's why your body is letting you know. And that's why a lot of the clients I work with, they come in with like unexplainable health problems, weight problems, that they've tried everything for, all the on the surface stuff. They do this work, this inner work, the weight drops off, the health gets better. It's not. It's because we're carrying around this stuff, and we're, instead of going, oh, I've got the awareness of it now, I can accept it's there, I can be compassionate to it, and I can look at how to heal it and release it and then let it go. We kind of just carry it along with us, and that's why we feel very, pulled down in life, and we're not being true to ourselves. I guess this is the problem. And we're trying to skip that step and just go into the how and the what and get married, buy the house, buy the car, get the business. What is the right kind of business? What is the right kind of strategy? And I was just say, whoa, just take a step back. And actually, when you take a step back and you do that, things fall into place as if by magic. They don't take as much work, because you trust, you surrender, you don't push your way through things and through life, because that's just self-harm.
It's hard, it is really, and you're right, like the pain point that you have to push through to get to the other side of that shit that where you're stuck. It feels like it's going to kill you, but it doesn't. What kills you is putting everything on hold, all of your plans, all of the things you want to do, because it's always, I'll start that business when, I'll get married when, I'll buy that house when, I'll have that holiday when. And we put conditions on ourselves, and it's always later. And it's only because we're holding on to that fear all of the time. Whereas if you go through it, and it can be tough, like you said, this is not easy stuff, but if you go through it, you release it. And when you release it, all of that later, it just kind of goes away, because, why not now? Why not now? Because it's the stuff that's holding you back can be released. You don't have to carry this weight all of the time. And we do. Some women carry this weight for whole lifetimes, and they never come to what they could be. Yeah, most. It's still the majority. We're still in the minority, even though there's a lot of women that are getting, far more conscious, which I love, with groups like this, with the work that you're doing. That is just amazing to put this stuff on the map, so we can learn these, elusive secrets that are actually far more logical than the way we were living before, even though it sounds a bit rude to some people. And it's, the resistance is strong, because we have this idea to take that step that, we need permission. We need permission from someone else, an outside source, a husband, a friend, a mother, to allow us. We need to give ourselves permission to have a look at this. And we have this idea that, I will do this when, like you say, because we're waiting to feel not afraid, to feel no fear, to feel like I'm 100% sure. And I will only do it if I am 100% sure that I will get this outcome. And if I don't get that outcome, then I've failed. Yeah. And actually, the truth is,
is the other way around. You want to be doing this when you're petrified. That's the point. You don't give yourself permission to do it while you're afraid. That's the point. And to see that as courageous. And that's what it really is. And not be attached to the outcome. Is the attachment that is the problem.
Yeah.
Instead, be attached to the enjoyment of the journey, the good and the bad. Trust it is a golden thread, and it is taking you somewhere. You don't know everything in terms of your ego and your wounds. That's who I'm talking to here. Your higher self and your soul and what you're here to be and do does know. And it is taking you along, and it's just trusting that. So if something doesn't work out exactly, if you took the leap and you didn't get that exact outcome, it doesn't mean you have failed. It's taking you somewhere. It's knowing that the good and the bad in life is all happening for us. It happens, at the same time. It's like having a baby. When you're giving birth to a baby, it hurts like hell, right? I haven't done it yet, but I've heard about it, right? But you're getting one of the most beautiful gifts in the world, right? And a beautiful bond, and one of the most sacred, precious things potentially to a lot of women is their children. Yet you have to go through the pain, right? And so it's that duality that you're going through pain and it's pure joy at the same time, which is life, and which is also business, which is as women that run heart-centered, heart-led businesses, we're going to experience both at the same time. So we've got to get good at that and understand it, rather than seeing it as, oh my God, this is terrible, this is shit, I failed, I don't have 100,000 pounds in my bank, or so I'm shit, I'm crap at it. That's not what it's about. It's about the connection to what you're doing and continue to care about it no matter what. You haven't failed. You've never failed. As long as you're carrying on and being less attached. That I always say, set your intentions and say this or something even better for the highest good of all. Trust, surrender it. And a lot of my clients have got even better. They're like, what the frig? I got even better. I got a house by the beach. Or yeah. So be careful not to limit yourself with that level of attachment anyway, because we can't imagine what is available for us at every next level, because we have to sweep away a raft of beliefs that are false and the wounds, and clean that up. And then we're, going to the next level. And then there's something new that we have to take another level out. So we can't see that far ahead. We can't see that unimaginable, but our soul can. So trust that anything that's happening is all meant to be, is all here to teach you something. And even this crisis, which is a turning point, right? It's a turning point. So to me, it's just really about, making that decision, to say, I want to be a conscious woman, to live my best life. That is what is required. Not for my life to be perfect and never to have a relationship problem, never to have a business problem, never to have money problems. That's not the point. I have all of those things, right? I have all of those things, but it's just the way I will come at it will be different from someone that hasn't done this work. That's all. So it allows me to create something that seems bad or challenging on the surface into something amazing that I couldn't even see would happen, because I came from a risen place and an elevated place. So I rose through it, rather than making it who I am, rather than making my husband just lost 2 jobs because of both his contracts, so overnight. So, I would have dealt with that very differently in the past. I was really in fear and, oh my God, what are we going to do? And all of that, even if it was reality. And people are doing this when they've got plenty of money in the bank and they're still getting contracted. Oh my God, well, everybody else is not spending money, so I'm not going to do it. Don't do that. It's like uncontract, because there's something called a law of circulation. So if we contract, it will actually make things worse. It will contract everything, because it's kind of like osmosis. It catches on, right? Just like fear. Then everybody starts doing it when we don't actually need to. Yeah. And this is why I kept going in this time, I have pivoted, and I'm launching all kinds of things at all different types of price points, including free, right? Real value for free, because of these times. But not everybody's in that situation. And if you're not, really breathe and realize you're not there, and that's okay. Some people are, and that's okay as well. But it's really, not coming into this contraction and fear and just, getting frozen and waiting for some outside source to come and save you, right? Because we're not victims of anything, not even of this crisis. It's more about allowing it to evolve us to our next stage, is what I really believe.
Absolutely. And I think I love what you said about, and again, we talk about this in the group quite a lot, is that we stress ourselves out, like we don't stress ourselves out enough as it is, but we stress ourselves out about seeing the whole staircase, the whole journey. And you really don't need to. You just need to be looking at the next thing. So we did the next thing.
That was old paradigm, right? So the staircase was get an education, go to school, go to college, go to university, get married, have some kids, buy a house, everything's going to be great. And then we did that. A lot of us have done a lot of those things. I have. Like, oh my God, I'm not happy. I've got a house, I've got a beautiful house, I've got, great decking in my garden, and I'm freaking miserable. It's like, what's going on? And then you feel that guilt starts to creep in, and you feel bad about it because you climbed up somebody else's ladder, right? You're not meant to know all the steps. That's the fun of the journey. Kind of taking the fun out of the adventure of your own life, who you're going to become, right? And it's because we missed that first step, which is who am I? Who am I? Who is the real me? Because we were conditioned so quickly, almost immediately from we're born, don't do that, you don't act like that, good girls do this, good girls sit nicely, you don't say this, you don't do, depending on our culture, and we just pick it up so quickly. We start to put these masks on, we start to follow this road, which doesn't belong to us. And that's when we go off track. And we can't even enjoy the things that we have created. And
you end up at the top of the ladder, but then you realize it's not your bloody ladder. You've climbed somebody else's ladder.
And then you're really attached because you're like, well, I did it, so now I'm just going to stick at it. I'm going to make it easier. It's like when I got, 18 years in the corporate world, where I was like, can you just throw that all in the bin after all those, degrees, postgraduates, blah, blah, and I was like, yeah, I can, because I get to decide. So that, the biggest moment for me is when I left that job was not to go back, when I didn't know the answers. And I had about 3 months money in my account. That was running out fast. I lived in Singapore. I didn't know if I was going to get chucked out of the country and be allowed to stay, which I really didn't want because I love it here. I'm still here, so that's good. I didn't get chucked out. And I got offered another marketing director job with an amazing package by an oil company. And everybody thought I was absolute nuts. I was like, I can't say no to this. I mean, that's an idiot. I literally don't know what my next steps are. All I know is that I don't want to do this. I know what I don't want to do, like we were saying last time. And that's a good thing to write down what's not working for you, what's not serving you right now. And I don't know how the hell I did it, but I went, no thanks. I declined the job. And when I did that, oh my God, I shat myself for sure. This is what it's real fear. It's real. And oh my God, the opportunities that opened up to me, where it took me was on this journey to finding this amazing woman that I work with, to finding myself, to getting self-worth, to actually liking who I was, rather than worried about other people liking me. And then to launching, this business and what I do and my, the formula that I pioneered and putting that all together. I mean, and we're talking fast. Once you do this work, the results are like, I went into my 5-figure business. I met my now husband, all very fast. Within a year or 2 years, it was all because that's how, this is how what they call this kind of quantum leaping. This is why I say time is not real. Time doesn't exist. It's because you're drudging through life, carrying a load of weight on your back that doesn't belong to you, like your wounds and those beliefs and that. I've got to do this. There's no other choice. I can't move forward, unless I know I'm 100% sure I know the exact next 10 steps and I know the plan. I know exactly what I'm going to get. I won't move forward. That's just not how it works. You've got to be really fearless, I guess.
You've got to let go of that, don't you? So it's got to be this, and we talk about this in lots and lots of different ways, but the crux of that is let go of the outcome. Know what you want, and if you don't know what you want, then the great.
Yeah.
No, and like we talked about it, didn't we? What if you really don't know what, if you write down what you want, that's great. I want these things. But if you really don't know, if you write down because you always know what you don't want, guaranteed. Anybody can tell you what they don't want, and so you can look at that list and be like, right. So what's the opposite of this? If this is what I don't want, what would the opposite or better than that be?
Yeah,
because then your
ego loves to write things down that it doesn't like. It's like, oh yeah, I love this. You kind of trick the ego, but actually to give yourself, because if you say to me, well, what do I want? Who am I? You're kind of like, oh, I don't know, because women won't even give themselves the permission to answer that question. That's one of like the most challenging questions when clients come into me to tell me why they are there and what they actually want. They're like, well, I don't know, but I'm here. So because their soul has brought them there for a reason. So it's just getting to that. And that's a kind of a quick way you can trick it to see, hold on a minute, so I want these things. What is not serving me right now? And it's the ability to be, and this is the other thing, is that bravery of being really honest with yourself. We don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit that we're struggling in our relationship or whatever it may be. We just want to put the blinders on. But it's getting really difficult in this period of time to do that. Because, the offices are closed, the gyms are closed, the pubs are closed. There's nowhere we can go to go, I just want to avoid it, right?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to do that and find different ways of doing that, and this is why, because we're so freaking afraid of feeling that feeling. But you don't have to do anything about it just yet. It's because you're worrying about the next step and then the next 10 steps. Nothing's going to happen. The world's not going to implode on you because you can admit what's not serving you. You can get awareness about that. That's okay. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to leave your husband, and you don't have to do anything. Just step by step. Just allow yourself to indulge in your own journey, to rise through it, to see what's there. Be curious about yourself and what's happening. You get to decide. You're the boss at the end of the day. You're the boss. So you're not going to have to do anything you don't want to do. So it's just trusting that.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, because when you say that, you say to people, this is the first step. So the first step is to recognize what you want, and you can do that by recognizing what you don't want first, but you need to know what you want. So what actually do you want? But then people get very resistant to doing the work, because doing the work is going to be, oh my God, well, that means change, and I can't deal with change, and I've got too much to do, and I can't. And, and it's going to mean, like you say, huge life changes. It's going to mean that I'm going to leave my job, and then I've got to worry about money, or I'm going to leave my husband, and then I'm going to have nowhere to live. And we get so caught up in the thinking that actually we forget that you can just take one step, just do one thing, because it will start to. You start a chain of events, and you get to decide. It doesn't mean just because you write down that you're not happy in your relationship that you have to leave your partner. There are other ways around that, but the recognition.
If you're unhappy in your relationship and all your friends are saying you should leave him, or it's never going to work out, they don't know either. They're talking from their wounds and their fear. So be careful who you talk to, is one thing I would say. And who you're taking advice from, because they can be talking from their wounds and their fears too. And then you're carrying that as well, okay? But, I don't care how bad your situation is. If there's something you want it to work out, then that's what you want. Yeah, and that's what you come in with. And that's what we work on. So it really is up to you. And anything can be turned around from the inside out. And if it cannot, if you are really in some sort of major abusive, toxic relationship, actually the only time you really know that is when you do this work.
Yeah.
And then if the situation is what it is, you are also very gracefully empowered to walk away. You don't actually feel like it's hard work to walk away at that point. So it's trusting that will happen at that point. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And talk about in this sort of forum, we cover obviously a lot of personal development and business development. That's what we do. We do both. But when it comes to creating a business that you love from the inside out, I guess the major first step there is going to be working on what do you want for the business. You know, where do you want it to go? And again, we can apply exactly what you've just said to business in that it's all fear-based. So it's Denise Duffield-Thomas, and I think I said this yesterday, I might have said on the call with you last week, Denise Duffield-Thomas says that she gets women who come to her at the very beginning of their journey, so they're just startups, and they'll say to her, how am I going to, I can't be a millionaire, I couldn't afford the tax. And she said, well, let us get you to being a millionaire first, then we'll talk about your tax situation. But these are real fears, you know, and we laugh because it's funny, but it's the truth. You know, women, especially who are starting businesses, who want to be widely successful, because that's, you know, what do you want? Well, I want a widely successful business. And they say, right, cool, let's give you the tools to do that. Let's make a start. And then we start, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, well, no, because, you know, my friends will think I'm showing off, or, you know, I won't have as much time to spend with my kids, or my husband will, you know, leave me because I'm spending all my time on my business. And they're looking at the whole staircase.
Yep.
You know, you want a widely successful business, start where you're at. Start right here, and you've got to not let those fears overtake.
Yeah. You're not going to care about them if you do the inner work anyways. You know, you wouldn't want those people around you. You know, people that can't support you, you know, as you grow, you if you do this work, you're not going to care about it as much. It's not going to impact you.
But I think when you change your energy around what you're doing, if you do the work as you've described, once you change your energy, those things just tend to fall away anyway. The people who aren't, the people who aren't supportive or who aren't part of your energy circle, because you kind of radiate them out, and it just stops being a problem. They just
out of my life now, or, you know, or don't contribute in any big way, and there's no big impact to that, whereas there would have been before, you know. And also you take it at your own pace. So you take it at your own pace, you know. When I have my clients work, I can have clients work very fast. If you're like me, I'm very fast. I like quick results. I don't like to piss about. I like to just get this sorted. I've wasted enough time already. So you can go as fast as me, but, you know, or you can go slower. You know, you can go at your pace, whatever that is for you. So, you know, but there is that point of, you know, even when we take the first steps, this is why it's so important, I think, to work with someone, a mentor or a coach or whatever it may be, is that then we get stuck at that next step to actually receive what we wanted, because we've never had it before, and that fear of success and what people are going to think of us. So for me, you know, when it comes to business or your life, is, you know, take a moment and journal on why, you know, why do I want to do this business, this particular business, whatever that business is. And write down whatever comes up, and then ask, well, why is that important to me? And ask about 4 times, you know, why is that important? Why is that important? And you'll get to the core of it. For me, it came down to my dad taking his own life, and pretending to be something he wasn't a lot of his life, just to people please. And, you know, his life was wasted, and there's like nothing worse than a wasted life. So whenever I'm like, oh God, I can't take it, you know, this is so scary, this is so intense, or it's too hard, I just go back to my wife and go, well, it's not freaking about you. It's about, you know, doing this for other people, you know, and helping them along, you know. So it helps you to jump back into it, you know, if you really know why. And also, you know, why you want the success you want, you know, why you want $1 million. Why you want it. We don't want the freaking money. We don't want to sit there with pieces of paper and go, oh, this is nice. You know, that's not it, right? What is it that it's going to give us? What is it going to give us, you know? So it's going to make us have a happy relationship, nicer clothes, live in a house, live in the Bahamas, or whatever it is, that whatever your is to have more time with your children, or have more time to relax, only work 3 days a week. Otherwise, we can like get out of one prison, which is a job, and jump into another prison and make, and work 24 hours a day. You might as well just do what you were doing before if you're going to do that, because that's not
of course.
So getting really clear on that why is a great thing. And then assuming that state already, going into that state already. And this is this rising and this elevated way of being, no matter what. And then you attract it, and you can also allow yourself to receive it as well, because you can attract it and then we bat it away. You'll hear there's loads of feasting fasting. We'll hit this mark and then what happened here? So it's the ability to hold that state and actually think you're worthy of it and you deserve it. And this is a big problem as well. So it's really working on those pieces inside of us as women. We're kind of all born with this, I think. To some, it's like a woman wound of, am I worthy? Am I allowed to have this much? It's like, yeah, of course you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the topic of creating your best life from the inside out. The whole point in that is that we talk about you've just got to. It's not that it's complicated. Yeah. It's not easy. Nobody's saying it's easy, but you've got to start with that route. You've got to start with that with you, because it all comes, no matter what's going on, no matter what area of your life you're working on, it's all going to come back to you. And we talk about in business that if you don't, and this is why the female CEO is built upon the retreat section and the workroom section, and that we've got business and personal development, because we firmly believe, and we know because we've seen it 100 million billion times over, that you can go ahead and you can just skip all of this and start a business, and you will be successful, and you put in enough work, with the tangible building a website and doing your SEO and all of the business stuff. Yes, you'll create a business, but for how long? How long will you go before you burn out? Before you can't take it? Before you have to, if you get this stuff right, and nobody's saying you can't do it simultaneously. You can be building a business and working on yourself. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I think as well, for me personally, my journey has been about building a business, but continuously working on myself. And I still go back now and do the root stuff all the time. Yeah, you've got to keep. That is, there's always another level of shit to clear, isn't there? You get through it, and it's like, I'm going to go back and have a look at that. Oh, yeah, getting get rid of that.
Next level, you're a leader. So there's always going to be more and more and more and more.
There's always more. So, I think...
Because you get to discover a new level of yourself. You get to have another experience,
Yeah.
Where so many people just stay stuck in the same old shit day in and day out. And you're just like, you'll start to unrelate with those people, right?
You do.
And there's a sense of loss there. You're like, oh, that's, I'm different now. But it's, you don't want to reject yourself. You don't want to abandon yourself. And that's what we're doing a lot of the time, just to fit in, just to not, look like we're more successful or like we're a show off, because, good girls don't show off. This kind of stuff. So, you just got to fly in the face of that. And you'll find amazing women, like-minded women and men along the way. Surround yourself in a community like that, in a mentoring group or a mastermind or whatever, this community, all of that. You want to be around like-minded people as much as possible, because the others, sadly, because of their wounds and their fears, and you're listening to people that will never even get to the point of awareness, anything else. Yeah. And taking advice from them, your next door neighbor that's never going to do anything with her life or his life. You're like, oh, well, maybe I should. It's like, be careful who you're using as a benchmark.
Yeah, I think that you're right though. That's why communities like ours and like yours are so valuable. You surround yourself with the people who are doing the work, because it's only by surrounding yourself with people who get it and get you and are facing similar challenges, because we're all in the same boat. Different distances from the shore maybe, but it's all the same bloody boat.
It's what Brené Brown says, isn't it? About the arena. If you're not in the arena getting your face marred, and you're welcome to take a seat and watch, but that's it. You don't.
Yeah, you don't get to have an opinion.
You don't care. With respect to love, you can say what you like, but you're not in here with me. If you're in here with me, then let's talk, and it will be a different type of.
It'd be a totally different conversation. I love Brené Brown, man. If anybody hasn't seen The Call to Courage on Netflix, please take an hour today and go watch The Call to Courage on Netflix with Brené Brown. It's fucking amazing.
You've given permission to watch Netflix.
Yeah, that is the only permission I'm giving you to watch Netflix.
Another couple of good ones on Netflix is there's one called Hill, Heal, Hill, and Goop with Gwyneth Paltrow. So I'll give you a couple of good Netflix out, also self-development at the same time. So
all right, we'll allow those ones. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll allow it.
And The Secret, of course.
Obviously. Anita, thank you so much. You've been amazing as always. If anyone has any questions for Anita, please just pop them in the comments, even if you're watching on the replay, because Anita's in the group, as am I, obviously. You can tag us if you wish, but we'll keep an eye in the comments anyway. We'll leave the replay up for you, and I'll pop it onto our masterclass page on the website, and I'll post that link on there as well, because all of our masterclasses are now on a page on our website, which you can't get to from the site. You can only get to it with the link, because it's for our community members, our supporters, our list subscribers. So I'll pop that up as well, so it's in both places. And again, if you have any questions for Anita, just pop them underneath. Tag us if you wish, and we'll get back to you. Anita runs a couple of amazing groups actually, and she's got a couple of new programs coming up, haven't you? So we can put the links to those as well.
What's it called? The Secret Workshop series. It's all about unleashing the secrets that are keeping you stuck or trapped in the way you're feeling or whatever it may be for you. That's starting in 4 days' time. It's completely free. It's a 4-day workshop. It's in a private secret group. So I would say that's a great start, because I will take you the steps personally to what I'm talking about here, what it's actually like in reality to go through that process. Yeah.
It's going to be really brilliant. I'm on board with that one. I'm going to do that one too.
Cool.
There's never a time when this isn't relevant. No matter how far you're on, no matter what you've built, and no matter whether you're at the top of your game or whether you're just, do I want to start a business, or actually, I don't want to have my own business, but I just need to, what is this? Why do I feel like this? There's no level where it's not appropriate to do this work.
Absolutely. And it's just having that humbleness about it and being genuine about that. It's not like, because I used to look at coaches like myself or like you and think, oh my God, they got all their shit together. And it's not. We don't.
No, we don't. I don't want to always have all of my shit together either, because I quite like this discovery stuff.
Yeah,
I get into it and I'm like, because you get, like you said, you get to another level of yourself and you're like, oh wow, oh this is nice. Yeah, okay, because you get past it.
It's strength. It's strong to cry. It's strong to, fall apart and not understand things. That takes more strength. When people say that's not strong or you haven't worked things out, that is part of the journey of working things out. Allowing yourself to feel your feelings and explore it, and that takes you to the next level, the next level. But it's all happening at the same time. That's the thing. People think, oh, you can either be falling apart or you got your whole shit together. It's just black or white. And it's not. These things come together. It's the good and the bad, right? Like now we're experiencing this global pandemic and disruption. But at the same time, there's wonderful things happening with that question I asked about the best and the worst. And that is the nature of life. That is the nature.
It's a brilliant question.
Yeah.
I'll pop up the link to the secret workshop under the comments after our live, and obviously if you want to go ahead and I'll put the link to your group as well, so obviously anybody who wants to can come and join the group, but I would definitely recommend that you do, because while Anita is I think she's given us so much today to think about, and yes, you can do the work, and yes, you can go off and work on it straight away yourself. But actually, if you really want to get into it and you want the fast results that Anita was talking about, because she gives fast results, join the secret group, because I think that's going to be pretty amazing. Yeah. And we've all got the time now to get in our heads a bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And it's completely free. I'm doing the real stuff the first time that I've done with clients. I've never done this stuff before. But, you know, because of the times, I really wanted to step into that, you know, and be really, you know, take my own poison. You know, we can't be faking it here and not giving it here, and just go back to giving and oneness. So yeah.
You do that so well, though.
I'm excited about doing it.
So am I now.
I'm at the moment, which is amazing. So we're all just like warming up. So it's, we're gonna have a lot of fun as well. Some good girl time.
Exciting! I'm happy about that. I love a bit of girl time. Yeah. All right, Anita, thank you so much. It's been wonderful, and we'll catch up with you again. We've got another live coming up later in the week, CEOs, so I'll post about that today for you. We're just chucking all these masterclasses at you at the moment because it's our birthday month and we want you to have maximum presents, because I'm all about the presents. And we'll see you very soon. So Anita, thank you, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.